put the fat all over the buttock area.
Yeah.
I actually do not do that. I put it in, I square off the butt centrally, and I put the fat more in a central position, and I let the fat disperse itself. Because I've done a lot of revisions from other doctors where I actually see how they actually have done it to the entire edge of the butt, and then the fat has actually transferred to the lower back or to the back of the thigh or the outer thigh or the hip area. So I let the body itself mold, or the buttock mold itself based on how you sit, because people will sit down no matter what you tell them.
Yeah. That's interesting. And then what are like some of the other things that you said you do? Like, so you do like the implant also?
So the breast implant in transgender male to female is slightly different as well, because one thing is that we consider is most of the implants, whether they're saline or salt water or silicone, which is gel, most of us doctors put it under the chest muscles, so under the pectoralis muscles. Women in general, our muscles are not that thick unless we're very athletic. And men in general, their muscles are very thick. So I've learned throughout the years that with male patients, you have to, or I have to, basically put larger implants in than expected, because the chest muscle will push the implant in.
Wow.
So you wanna overcome the muscle so that it doesn't push it in too much that basically you end up looking like you didn't even have an implant in.
That's crazy. That's very interesting. So how much do you have to like, so how many, like translating it to like cup size, so how much bigger would they have like they go, or the liquid?
It depends on what they look, how big they want to go and how big the person is. Another thing is that a lot of the male to females, they're actually undergoing hormone therapy. And when they're undergoing hormonal therapy, some of them actually have developed breast tissue. Some haven't developed breast tissue. When they develop breast tissue, obviously their skin has actually also stretched.
Yeah.
Versus if they haven't gotten any hormone therapy, meaning with estrogen, then their breast skin has not stretched at all. So that's more difficult for the skin to stretch. So believe it or not, in male patients that have not undergone that hormonal therapy, to let the breast go, let's say from a flat A or to at least the B cup, for example, with hormone therapy, which can occur within the first year, they have actually more pain than patients that the skin has already stretched a bit going to a B cup. So that's also another thing. A lot of patients, we recommend that they do undergo some hormone therapy, but it also depends on the patient. Some people want to undergo hormone therapy. Some people don't want to undergo hormone therapy.
Now, what's like the purpose of, like their hormone therapy? Like, why is it that some patients don't want to do it?
Well, that's when we get into the different classes of transgender. Every patient is different. Some people want to go 100% through the sex change. Some patients do not want to do that. Some patients literally just want to add the breast, look feminine, but want to keep their private parts and everything else.
Have you like ever spoken to patients that, like the ones that want to keep their private part, but they want, breast and look like a female? Have you spoken to them? Like, why is it that?
That's 50% of the patients are, more than that. I think about 70% of the patients are that.
Like that to me, it's like fascinating. Like, do you know why is it that, they decide to keep, their private part and just do everything else female?
I think they're scared.
Really?
Most of them that I talk to, they're actually scared because that's a big part of who they are, and they are scared to have it removed. Another reason is the cost is very expensive.
Like, how much are we talking about?
To have so now we're going to the sex change operation itself, or sex reassignment surgery. And the sex reassignment surgery, there's first there's psychological evaluation that needs to be done. So they have to have a 2-year psychological clearance to go through this. And the last year, they're supposed to actually dress up as that gender that they want to become. So male to female or female to male, they have to dress up like that. They have to change their name, everything. And so that they're basically testing themselves before they go with the final stage of removing the private parts in the man. Well, when it comes to the male, the female, it's a little bit more difficult. It's always easier to remove than to add things.
So kind of like Bruce Jenner, who now is Caitlyn Jenner.
Correct.
So Caitlyn removed her parts, or is she still has it? Do you know?
That one, actually, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Because
I do not know. I'm not sure at all about that, actually. I don't think she has had it. Do you know? I actually am not sure about that one.
No. Okay, so what about the so with like transgenders, who did so like with like Bruce Jenner, like Caitlyn Jenner and other people, who do they date? Like, some of them date men, or some date women, or some date the same like transgenders? Do you know?
You'd be shocked about how people, especially in LA, the thing that I come across is one of the strangest things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people that literally change sexes and they date the same sex. Does that mean, do you understand?
Yeah.
So the person, in actuality, if they would have remained that sex that they were before, would have been a heterosexual. As a matter of fact, doesn't Bruce or Caitlyn Jenner say that she actually still prefers women?
I don't even know.
That was on one of the interviews. I don't want to, but it's not. So homosexuality is different than gender identity. Those are two different things, and people tend to confuse those two.
Yeah.
Homosexuality is your reference of who you want to date and who you want to sleep with and spend the rest of your life with. Gender identity is what they feel like they are. Now, they might be still attracted to the opposite sex, but they don't want to be the sex that they are. They want to be the same as the opposite sex.
Have you
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then you talk about how, the crying game scenario where from the waist up they're a woman, from the waist down they're a man.
Yes.
There are so many heterosexuals that are okay with that. They love the fact that they can. Back in the Greek time and the Roman times, believe it or not, the most masculine men would sleep with other men. And it had nothing to do with them being gay or not. It had to do with them conquering another man.
Wow.
So, in my opinion, and I'm not a psychologist, I think that there are some men, not a lot, but there are some men that want to sleep with a man from a waist down, but be happy with a woman from a waist up, just because they know that they're conquering another man, not just a woman.
Now, when you talk about like sleeping with another man, does that mean that the guy that wants to conquer the man, he would be the top and not the bottom?
Correct.
Okay. It's just crazy to me. It's like, that's like one of my biggest fears that I have.
Yes.
I'm a single mom. I'm divorced. I've been divorced since like 2007. I did have a boyfriend. I dated a few guys. I had a boyfriend, but I have not dated in a while. But one of my biggest fears, especially because, one of the shows that I used to work at a few years ago, we used to have, it was a sex and relationship advice show. We used to have guys call in, and some men, would be married. Mm-hmm. They were living happily with their relationship, their wives, their spouses, they have children. But once a year, or maybe sometimes twice a year, they wanted to sleep with a man, and they would, but the wife didn't know that.
Correct.
And they would say, I don't think I'm gay. This is just something that I like doing on the side.
Correct.
That's my biggest fear. Like I don't want to meet a man, that turns out later and tells me, by the way, I need to sleep with a guy at least once a year. Like that's my biggest fear.
So I had a friend about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
She was bisexual. She was a very good friend of mine. And she told me something that I will never forget, and I think she was absolutely right. She said that in her opinion,
Yeah.
that 80% of people are bisexual, but they don't act on it. 10% are homosexual and 10% are strict heterosexual. That means that 80% of the population has thoughts of being with the same sex. And some of them do act on it, like you just said.
Yeah.
The interesting thing she said was that when it comes to bisexuals, and I see it all the time because I think she was right about that, is that with bisexuals, they want to be in a long-term relationship with the opposite sex and in a short-term relationship with the same sex.
Why is that?
I think it's because, with the social stigma, it's just easier to be heterosexual than to be gay.
Yeah. I you know what, I do believe about, what she said about the 80%. Because I know for me, like I see myself as like being strictly a woman that loves men.
Yes.
But I have thought about what it's like to be with a woman. But my case would be, I want to like the receiving end of it. Like
Yes.
I wouldn't want, I'm not the giving type. So my thing for a while, I used to always say, I wanted to know what it was like to have a female go down on me, only because I wanted to know the difference. Like, okay, what does it feel like having a guy do it to me versus a woman? But that didn't mean that I wanted to be in a relationship and I was not going to return the favor either, because that I know for sure that it's like I can appreciate a female, beauty when I see it. Like I love, like if I see a woman, I'm like, oh my God, you're so beautiful. Like I will just like salivate over a woman, but that doesn't mean that I want to kiss her or I want to go down on her, but I'll let her do it to me. I'll let her, have her go down on me, but I wouldn't engage in kissing, So for me, I think that I would fall in that category where I don't mind if, the female would do it to me, but I would not engage into doing it to her. Like that just does not, it's not appealing for me, and not even to try it either.
Right.
To me, it's just like, it's a little too much.
I understand.
But yeah, that's like my biggest fear with, having a guy. And I don't know if it's because of the way I was raised, like my parents, my dad and all my brothers are like very like macho.
Sure.
And, so for me, it's like if I have a guy like in my world, because I love gay men, like I love, they're the best of friends. But as far as like in my circle, if I were to be with a man, like I look at him as like this protector. He's manly, he's strong. And if I think that for a second he's going to be with a man, I automatically...
It runs all those thoughts for you.
Oh, yeah, I don't respect it. I have no respect for him anymore. I see him as being a soft person.
Right.
And I want somebody strong.
I understand. I think it's also this... Well, for sure it's how we've been brought up. That the man is the caretaker and he's the macho man and he's the strong one and the woman is the weak one per se. But I understand what you're saying. But again, this is LA, so we've all been we've had friends from every single category of everything you can imagine, right?
Yeah.
And even in the gay community, there's everything from A to Z. So we cannot just literally go and clump all the homosexuals together, all the gay men versus all the gay women. And I can tell you, for example, lesbians, if you were wondering about that one, when it comes to sex, a lot of the lesbians are just the same as men, and if not, they're even worse. And some, because you're saying, because it's a woman, maybe it's better and stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not.
Really?
But if because some of them, some are Some are and some aren't.
So some don't
So it
even
depends
know.
on the some. It depends on the. It literally there's such a huge genre in the gay community. There's such a, believe it or not, there's discrimination in the gay community itself